Ryan Cross stood at the edge of the training platform, breathing hard. Blood dripped slowly from a cut above his eyebrow. His uniform was torn, soaked in sweat, and stained with red. The other cadets, tall, strong aliens from across the galaxy, watched him with cold eyes. Some whispered, others laughed. No one thought he would last another minute. Ryan was the only human in the Galactic War Academy. Every species there had evolved with strong bodies, fast reflexes, or psychic powers. But humans? They were still, considered backward, weak, and unfit for the battlefield. Earth had joined the Galactic Alliance only 10 years ago. Ryan was the first human to ever be accepted into the Academy. Most thought it was a mistake. The command instructor, a tall insectoid creature named General Catharn, stepped forward. His voice echoed through the chamber. "Cadet Cross, you are bleeding. Step down and receive medical attention." But Ryan didn't move. He stared straight ahead, his arms shaking from exhaustion. The simulation behind him was ready, an artificial combat zone filled with traps, enemy bots, and fire drills. The test was known as Trial 17. It had never been beaten solo. Teams of 5 usually failed. Ryan was going in alone. "I'm ready," he said, his voice low but steady. Laughter broke out among the cadets. One of them, a reptilian named Vrex, shouted, "You'll die in the first 30 seconds, human." Ryan didn't respond. The doors opened. Steam poured out as the simulation booted up. A countdown appeared on the screen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ryan stepped inside. Instantly, the temperature jumped. The air was filled with the sound of moving machinery and distant explosions. The floor shifted under his feet. Walls moved. Turrets dropped from the ceiling and started firing. Ryan dove to the left, rolled behind cover, and pulled out the training rifle. He was already bleeding, tired, and alone. But his mind was calm. He counted bullets, watched for patterns, timed the turret rotations. His body ached, but his focus sharpened. The first drone flew toward him, spinning blades ready to cut. Ryan slid under it and shot it from below. Sparks flew. He moved again, low to the ground, like a shadow. In the control room, General Catharn narrowed his eyes. "How is he moving like that?" one officer asked. "Humans don't train like us," Catharn said slowly. "They train in chaos, in war. Maybe that's what we're seeing." Back in the simulation, Ryan made it past the first trap zone. No one ever had. The walls changed again. A maze appeared, filled with electric floors and gas vents. Ryan didn't stop. He ran. He jumped. He screamed through the pain but never gave up. Every second, something tried to kill him, but he refused to die. Outside, the cadets grew quiet. "He's still alive," Vrex whispered. Another said, "He's bleeding, and still fighting." Time passed. Ryan's arms were cut, his leg limped, but he reached the final zone. 3 attack drones circled him. They were fast, smarter, deadlier, no cover, no help, just him. He crouched low, breathing heavy. He waited, listened, then he moved. One drone fired. He jumped. Another came from behind. He ducked and kicked it midair. It crashed into the third. All 3 exploded. Smoke filled the chamber. Then silence. The simulation shut down. Ryan stood in the center, still breathing. Barely. His knees shook. His face was pale, but he stood. And that was enough. General Catharn stared at the screen. "He beat it," he said softly. The cadet said nothing. No one laughed. No one moved. Ryan stepped out of the simulation room, blood on his face, a small grin on his lips. He looked at the others and said, "That was just practice." Then he collapsed. 2 medics rushed to him. His body was covered in burns, bruises, and cuts. But his heart was strong. He had done the impossible. As the medics carried him away, one of the officers whispered, "If that's what a human can do bleeding, what happens when he's at full strength?" In the silence that followed, a quiet fear began to grow. The weakest cadet had just done something no alien ever could. And deep inside the academy, cameras continued to record. Someone, somewhere, was watching. And they were afraid. The lights in the academy dimmed as Ryan Cross lay unconscious in the medical bay. Machines beeped softly around him, scanning his damaged body. Bandages wrapped his arms. His chest rose and fell slowly, and his hands twitched as if still fighting. Outside the glass window, a small crowd of alien cadets had gathered, but no one laughed this time. Inside the control room, General Catharn stared at the replay footage from the simulation. Over and over, he watched the moment Ryan defeated the drones. The human's body was broken, bleeding, but still moving, still thinking, still winning. This shouldn't be possible, an officer muttered. Catharn replied coldly, "It wasn't a simulation." The room went silent. "What do you mean?" another asked. Catharn leaned forward and zoomed in on the screen. At the bottom corner of the footage, a red warning light blinked during the test. Most hadn't noticed it. The words were small but clear. "Live combat systems active." "No training mode," Catharn said. "Real weapons, real damage." Someone changed the settings. Shock passed through the room. Someone had turned the test into a death trap, and Ryan survived. In the medbay, Ryan's eyes opened. He saw the ceiling lights first. Then he noticed the pain. Every part of him hurt, but he didn't panic. Slowly, carefully, he sat up. The nurse rushed in. "No, you need rest." Ryan shook his head. "I need answers." That night, while the rest of the academy slept, Ryan limped to the control room. His legs ached, his ribs burned, but he moved like a shadow, silent and sure. He hacked the door panel. Inside, he found what he feared: simulation logs, access, codes, security footage. Someone had entered the system right before his test and activated live combat mode. And it wasn't a glitch. It was planned. A setup. Ryan copied the files onto a chip and slipped it into his pocket. He didn't say a word, not yet. The next morning, the cadets gathered for their regular drills. But Ryan wasn't there. "Maybe he's dead after all," one muttered. Then the doors opened. Ryan stepped in. His body was stiff, wrapped in black armor now. A special suit designed for Earth's gravity, dense, heavy, rough. It made him look slower but stronger. He walked up to the front of the training floor and said just 2 words: "Run it." The control officer hesitated. "Run what?" "Trial 17. Again." Gasps filled the room. Even Catharn raised an eyebrow. "You barely survived the first time. You want to do it again?" Ryan's face was calm. "This time I'm not bleeding." The simulation began. But something strange happened. Ryan didn't just beat the traps. He predicted them. Every turret, every floor spike, every drone. He moved before they triggered. He used pipes for cover, ceilings for ambushes. He didn't just pass the test. He danced through it. 10 minutes in, the observers leaned forward in silence. 15 minutes in, officers were taking notes. At 20, Catharn whispered, "He's not surviving, he's studying." Ryan reached the drone zone again. This time he didn't wait. He launched smoke bombs, used misdirection, made the drones crash into each other. He didn't just win, he made it look easy. As the chamber opened and Ryan walked out, the entire hall was quiet. Then one cadet clapped, then another. Soon the whole room echoed with applause, hesitant at first, then louder. But Ryan didn't smile. He walked straight to Catharn and dropped the chip in his hand. "Someone turned the simulation into a real war zone," he said. "Find out who." Catharn looked at the chip, then at Ryan. "You shouldn't have survived that." "I wasn't trained to survive," Ryan said. "I was trained to end things." That night, in a dark office deep in the academy, a shadowy figure watched. The same footage. Ryan bleeding, Ryan fighting, Ryan winning. He turned off the screen and whispered, "We pushed the human too early. He wasn't supposed to live." Another voice, older and colder, replied through the comms, "Then make Sure he doesn't next time. Far above the academy, a silent ship moved into orbit, hidden, waiting. And down below, Ryan stood at his window, watching the stars, his eyes sharp, his body healing, his mind already preparing for the next test. This time, he wasn't alone. This time someone wanted him dead. But Ryan Cross had already survived death once. He didn't plan to lose again. The next morning, every cadet at the Galactic War Academy received a message on their tablet. No name, no source. Just a single video file titled, "Watch What the Human Did." They opened it. The footage showed Ryan Cross bleeding, limping, and still moving like a ghost through fire. His traps were simple but deadly. Ropes, wires, smoke bombs made from broken equipment. He baited drones into chasing him, then led them into exploding barrels. He never stood still. He never stopped thinking. One moment showed him laughing as he set off a trap that took down 5 enemies. Another showed him crawling under a turret's blind spot to hack it from below. One clip zoomed in on his face, bloody, tired, smiling. The aliens watching felt something new. Not anger, not hate. Fear. In the cafeteria, cadets stopped eating when Ryan entered. He didn't look at them. He walked to his table, sat alone, and ate in silence. But no one laughed now. No one joked. They had all seen what he did. He didn't win because he was strong. He won because he was dangerous. In the command tower, General Catharn watched the same video with his officers. "He doesn't fight like us," one said. "He doesn't need to," Catharn replied. "Earth teaches pain. They teach patience. They don't create soldiers. They create survivors." "But this was a simulation," another officer said. "He treated it like war." Catharn looked away. Maybe for him it always was. In the training hall that afternoon, Ryan entered the hand-to-hand combat ring. He stood across from Vrex, the reptilian cadet who once mocked him. "You sure you want this, human?" Vrex growled. Ryan didn't answer. The bell rang. Vrex charged. But Ryan didn't meet force with force. He stepped aside, grabbed Vrex's arm, flipped him into the ground. The crowd gasped. Vrex stood up, angrier now. He attacked again, claws ready. Ryan ducked, hit him in the ribs, elbowed his spine, took him down with 3 moves. Vrex groaned in pain. Ryan stepped back and offered a hand. Vrex stared at it, then took it. The other cadets saw, and they understood. Later that night, Ryan sat in his room, watching stars through the window. The chip he had given to Catharn was still being examined. Whoever had turned the simulation into a death trap had erased their tracks well. But Ryan knew something. They didn't. Only someone on the inside could have done it. There was a traitor in the academy. The door beeped. A message. "Meet me in Hangar 3. Midnight. Come alone." Ryan's eyes narrowed. He didn't reply. He just grabbed his boots, his training knife, and headed out. At midnight, Hangar 3 was dark and silent. Shadows moved between the tall crates. Ryan stepped in slowly. A figure appeared, small, nervous. One of the maintenance techs, an insectoid named Zelly. "I saw the logs," Zelly whispered. "I know who changed the simulation." "Who?" Ryan asked. Before Zelly could answer, a sharp sound split the air. A dart hit his neck. He gasped, dropped. Ryan caught him, but he was already out cold, or dead. Then Ryan turned. From the shadows came 3 masked attackers, black armor, silent weapons, not cadets, assassins. Ryan didn't wait. He grabbed a wrench from the nearby crate and threw it. It hit one attacker in the face. He charged the second, using low moves, Earth style, breaking the enemy's balance and slamming him into the wall. The third aimed a blaster. Ryan kicked a fuel tank. It spilled liquid. Sparks flew. Boom. Flames lit the hangar. One attacker burned. Another rolled on the ground, screaming. Ryan picked up Zelly and escaped through the emergency vent. Back in his room, Ryan patched Zelly up. The bug-like tech was still alive, but barely. Ryan looked at the academy through his window. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. Someone had sent real killers after him. They weren't just scared of him. They wanted him gone. And that meant only one thing. He was getting close to the truth. Somewhere in the academy, someone powerful was afraid of what Ryan might uncover. But they made a mistake. They didn't finish the job. And Ryan Cross? He didn't forget. He didn't forgive. And next time, he would strike first. 2 days passed. The academy carried on like nothing had happened. The fire in Hangar 3 was blamed on a fuel system error. No one mentioned the 3 bodies pulled from the wreckage. No one asked why Ryan Cross came back limping with burns on his arms. But the cadets noticed. Ryan had changed. He didn't speak much anymore. He trained alone. Harder, longer, faster. His eyes didn't wander. They locked onto targets like weapons. General Catharn watched him from the observation deck. "He's not learning from us," he said to his officers. "He's learning beyond us." Ryan was stronger now. Not because his body healed, but because he understood something most cadets never did. This wasn't school. It was war, and someone inside this academy had already declared it. Catharn received a private call from the Galactic Council. The screen lit up with faces, leaders from 12 worlds, all powerful, all watching Earth carefully. "Is the human stable?" one asked. "He's dangerous," Catharn replied, "but focused." Another leaned forward. "We didn't approve weapons testing on human minds." Catharn paused. "We didn't test him. Someone else did." The council grew quiet. One voice broke the silence. Deep, cold. "Earth is not to be trusted. Their wars nearly destroyed their own planet. Now we give them technology, and you let one of them walk through elite training?" "He didn't walk," Catharn said. "He bled through it, and still beat it." In a small, dark room far below the academy, someone else was watching. Ryan, too. A female officer in a dark cloak played the footage again. Ryan moving through fire, Ryan dodging death, Ryan winning. "He wasn't supposed to survive," she said. "We pushed him to break, and he evolved instead." Another shadowed figure replied, "Then break him properly." Ryan didn't sleep much anymore. He spent most nights in the gym or in the archives, reading old war reports, battle strategies, and Earth history files that most aliens ignored. There was one file he read over and over. Black Earth Protocol, Human Psychological Warfare. Inside were pages of warnings. Earth didn't just fight with strength, they fought with the mind, traps, tricks, deception, terror. Aliens trained for clean wars. Humans trained for the end of the world. That afternoon, Ryan was called to the arena for a new simulation. No cadets this time, just him and Catharn. "You've trained well," Catharn said, "but this will be different." The doors opened. Ryan stepped into a new sim zone, this one modeled after a destroyed Earth city. Smoke, collapsed buildings, broken glass. It looked real. Ryan moved slowly. Something wasn't right. Then, the buildings moved. Holograms dropped. He was surrounded. Not by machines, by other Ryans, clones, copies, each one holding a weapon, each one moving like him. And the simulation voice said, "Only one version survives." Ryan didn't blink. He took cover behind a burnt car and waited. The clones spread out, fast, smart, just like him. They weren't robots, they thought like him. Ryan fought hard. His moves mirrored, his own tactics used against him. Each strike had to be perfect, each trap had to be different. And while outside the arena, the council watched. "If he breaks now," one said, "we'll call him a failed test." But Ryan didn't break. He adapted. He stopped fighting like a soldier and started thinking like a predator. He turned off the lights in the sim, built noise traps, used his own voice recordings to lure clones into ambushes. One by one they fell, until only one stood, the real Ryan. He stepped into the light, panting, bruised, but smiling. "Simulation complete," the computer said. Ryan turned to the camera. "I learned something today," he said. The council leaned forward. Ryan's voice was cold. You made me into the thing you feared. Then he looked directly into the lens and whispered, You wanted a weapon, you got one. The feed cut out. Catharn stood in the observation room, silent. One of the officers whispered, What have we done? No one answered. That night, Ryan returned to his room. On his desk, a small box waited. Inside, a black wristband. No note. Just a symbol. Earth's old war eagle. Ryan put it on and smiled. The message was clear. Earth was watching, and they approved. Ryan Cross now moved through the Galactic War Academy like a ghost with fire behind his eyes. He didn't look like the weakest cadet anymore. His black wristband, marked with Earth's war eagle, was not just a symbol, it was a warning. And everyone had seen what he became, even those who wanted him dead. A week after the clone simulation, the Academy announced a secret test. Mission Blackfall. Only top cadets were selected. It was said to be the most difficult simulation in Academy history. But this time, the battlefield was real. No one was told the mission details, not even Ryan. Only that it was survival-based. Real weapons, real enemies, real risk. And one more thing. No communication with the Academy. You are on your own, Catharn said before the drop. Your only ally is your training. Your only goal, survive and complete the objective. Ryan didn't flinch. The shuttle took off silently. Inside sat 6 cadets, 3 from the Empire's elite, 2 psychic warriors from the Talok system, and Ryan. They all avoided looking at him. They had seen the video. They had seen him bleed and win. The ship landed on a cold, dead moon called Xerion 7. The air was thin. The ground cracked underfoot. Ancient ruins and crashed ships were scattered across the gray wasteland. As soon as the team stepped out, the sky turned red. Something was wrong. Their equipment glitched, maps failed, drones disappeared into static. Then came the first explosion. 1 cadet gone, no sound, just fire. The team scattered. It wasn't a simulation. It was a trap. Who did this? Shouted one of the Talok warriors. Ryan didn't answer. He already knew. This mission wasn't about testing them. It was about killing him. Hours passed. The group was hunted. Metal creatures. Ancient war. Machines rose from the ground. The ruins were alive. Traps hidden for centuries began to activate, targeting them one by one. By nightfall, only 3 cadets remained. Ryan, Kara, the psychic, and Drex, a heavy gunner with scales of stone. They found shelter in an old command bunker buried under the dust. Ryan set traps. Kara focused her mind to scan for movement. Drex sat guard with his plasma cannon. I saw the files, Kara said in a low voice. This mission isn't from the Academy. It was ordered by someone from the Galactic Council. Why? Drex asked. Ryan didn't look up. Because I'm not supposed to be alive. Silence. Then Ryan added, But I am. And now we finish this. He pulled out a small map he had built from memory and wreckage logs. There's a signal beacon in the ruins. If we activate it, the Academy will find us. If we don't, we disappear here, Drex growled. What if the machines are guarding it? Ryan gave a small grin. Then we go through them. At dawn, the 3 moved out. They were hunted again, this time faster. The machines had adapted, but so had Ryan. He used ancient traps against them. Crushed one with falling debris, fried another by luring it into an energy net. Kara shut down a third using her mind. Drex bought them time with heavy fire, even as his armor cracked. They reached the beacon tower, broken, covered in dust. Ryan climbed it while Kara defended the base. Drex, now injured, lay bleeding behind a crate but still firing. Ryan reached the top and rewired the panel with shaking hands. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Then light. A blue flare shot into the sky. The signal went out. Back at the Academy, Catharn saw it flash on the command board. They're alive. A rescue unit was sent. When they arrived, they found 3 survivors surrounded by wreckage and dead machines. Ryan stood in the middle, burned, tired, holding the beacon switch. As the rescue ship landed, Ryan whispered to himself, "Now they know I won't die easy." Later in the medbay, Catharn came to see him. "You were never meant to return," the general said. "I figured that out," Ryan replied calmly. Catharn stared at him. "Why keep going?" Ryan looked him in the eye. "Because you don't train humans like animals. You corner them. Then you see what they become." "And what are you becoming, Cadet Cross?" Ryan sat up. "Exactly. What you're afraid of." Catharn said nothing, but when he walked out, he gave an order to the security system. "Protect the human. At all costs. From everyone, even us." Because now it was clear. Ryan Cross was no longer the weakest cadet. He was becoming something else. Something unstoppable. The academy was no longer the same. Every cadet had seen the footage from Mission Blackfall. They saw Ryan Cross walk through death with fire in his eyes and enemies at his feet. The story of the human who wouldn't die spread like wildfire. Some cadets began copying his training style. Others stayed far away. The council? They were silent now. But silence from powerful people is never peace. It's preparation. In the shadows, the ones who had ordered Ryan's death were not done. They had failed to break him through traps and assassins. Now they would try something worse. They would turn the system against him. It began quietly. Ryan's ID chip glitched. He was locked out of the gym. His training schedule was erased. His access to Earth's history files removed. Then came the false reports. Cadet Cross is unstable. Danger to others. Needs psychological review. Catharn saw it all. He confronted the Academy AI. Who changed his records? The AI paused, then replied, "Command override. Council Alpha level." The general's jaw tightened. So they want him out, or destroyed. But Catharn had made his choice. He didn't trust Earth, but he respected power. And Ryan Cross had more power in his will than most species had in armies. That night, Ryan was called to the evaluation chamber. White walls, bright lights, one chair. He entered, sat down. The room locked. 3 counselors appeared on a screen, non-human, cold eyes. Ryan Cross, one said, "You have been marked as a psychological threat." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Because I survived?" "No," the second said. "Because you enjoyed it." Ryan said nothing. "We have orders to assess your fitness to remain in the academy." "Or remove me," Ryan replied flatly. They didn't deny it. The questions began. "Do you feel anger toward other cadets?" "Yes," Ryan said, "when they laugh at weakness." "Do you believe rules should be broken?" Ryan leaned forward. "If they were written by cowards, yes." "Do you dream of violence?" Ryan smiled coldly. "I dream of surviving your next trap." Silence. Then a final question. "What do you want, Ryan Cross?" He stared at the screen. "I want the truth. About who set me up. About why you fear humans so much. And I want to make sure no one forgets what happens when you push Earth too far." The screen turned black. The room unlocked. No decision was spoken. But Ryan knew. They were scared now. Not of his strength, but of his mind. Later that week, Ryan received a message. Anonymous. Encrypted. Just 5 words. "I know who did it." Coordinates followed. Ryan slipped out of his room after midnight. He reached the old library, a place cadets rarely entered. Dust. Silence. Long shadows. He walked to the back, where the lights flickered. A figure waited. Hooded, cloaked, breathing slow. "You were supposed to die," the figure said. "I Noticed, Ryan answered. The figure removed the hood. It was not a cadet, not a soldier. It was an Earth agent. Old, scarred, tired. I'm from before the treaties, the agent said. Before Earth gave up its wars. They promised us peace, but they never stopped watching. Who tried to kill me? Ryan asked. The agent tossed a chip on the table. Play it, you'll see. Ryan inserted the chip into his wristband. A video played. It showed the Galactic Council, a secret meeting. The human cannot be allowed to complete training. If he passes, the others will follow his path. We train them to obey. He teaches them to think. Then came a name. Counselor Zarak, the one who had pushed hardest for Earth to stay under control. Ryan closed the file. What do I do with this? He asked. The agent stared at him. Whatever Earth trained you to do. He turned and walked away. Ryan stood alone, chip in hand. Now he had proof. Now he had names. But proof doesn't change systems. Force does. Later in his room, Ryan made a decision. He would not run. He would not wait. He would finish his training, and when graduation came, he would call them out in front of every species watching, not just for revenge, for a message. You tried to kill the human. Now watch what happens when he survives. The war wasn't coming. It had already begun. The Galactic War Academy stood tall under the twin suns, shining like a fortress of peace. But inside, war was already breathing, and Ryan Cross was ready to end it. It was graduation day. Thousands of cadets from hundreds of worlds lined up in perfect formation. Flags of the Galactic Union waved. The top leaders of every empire sat on high platforms, watching from above, and at the center stage, the podium. Only the best cadet from each class was allowed to speak there. Ryan had earned that spot. He had bled for it, survived fire, clones, sabotage, assassins, lies. Now he stood before them in black armor, the Earth Eagle shining on his chest. The crowd was silent. Ryan walked slowly to the podium, each step echoed like thunder. He looked up, not at the cadets, at the council. He saw Counselor Zarak sitting tall in the center, calm, cold, the one who tried to erase him. Ryan took a breath and began. Stand here not because I was chosen, he said, his voice strong. I stand here because I refuse to fall. The crowd stirred. When I first came to this academy, I was the weakest, the slowest, the easiest to ignore. He paused. But your tests weren't designed to find strength. They were designed to break those who didn't already have power. Now the generals were shifting in their seats, and when I didn't break, you tried again. Harder, dirtier. You used fire, fear, death, machines, lies. Murmurs grew. But I survived. I adapted. Not because I'm special, because I'm human. He looked at the cadets. You trained us to fight clean wars, to follow orders. But humans, we come from a world that never gave us peace. He raised his voice. We learned to win with nothing. We learned to fight when we were already bleeding. And when you pushed us to the edge, we evolved. Now, the crowd was fully silent. Ryan tapped his wristband. A hologram appeared in the air, the secret recording. The council's own words played for everyone. The human cannot be allowed to complete training. He teaches them to think. Gasps, shouts, council members stood up in protest. Catharn didn't move. He just watched. Ryan turned back to the cadets. They fear us not because we're dangerous, but because we don't obey, because we ask why. He stepped down from the podium, walked across the stage. I came here to learn your way of war. He stopped. But maybe now, you should learn ours. At that moment, several cadets from other species stepped forward. Quietly, slowly, but without fear. They stood behind Ryan. Then more joined. Kara, the Talok psychic, Drex, the heavy gunner. Others. The message was clear. This wasn't just about Earth anymore. It was about every cadet who had ever been treated like a tool instead of a mind. The council shouted orders. Security forces moved in, but Catharn raised his hand. "Stand down." The soldiers froze. Catharn walked forward, eyes locked on Ryan. "You disobeyed direct orders. You revealed classified data. You exposed the council." Ryan stared back. "Yes." Catharn looked around. At the cadets. At the crowd. Then, slowly, he nodded. "Then maybe you're the soldier we needed all along." He turned to the crowd. "From this day, the academy changes. No more mindless training. No more lies. We don't need slaves. We need warriors." The arena exploded in cheers. Ryan didn't smile. He just looked up at the sky, at the stars, at the galaxies beyond. Because this was never about the academy. Not really. This was the beginning of something far bigger. Warning. To anyone who thought Earth was soft, to anyone who thought humans would obey, and to anyone who thought pain could stop evolution. Because Ryan Cross bled during training and still beat the simulation. Now the galaxy knew, you don't fear the strongest species. You fear the one that refuses to die. You fear the ones who adapt. You fear humanity. And now, you fear Ryan Cross.